Look around. You can find cars like these on AutoTrader, like that car riding your tail. Or if you're tailgating right now, all those cars doubling as kitchens and living rooms are on AutoTrader too. Are you working out and listening to this ad at the same time? Well, multitasking pro, cars like the ones in the gym parking lot are for sale on AutoTrader. New cars, used cars, electric cars, maybe even flying cars. Okay, no flying cars, but as soon as they get invented, they'll be on AutoTrader. Just you wait. AutoTrader.
Every Pokemon Episode Ever podcast is now on YouTube. Go on YouTube and search Every Pokemon Episode Ever podcast and click that subscribe button to never miss an episode. Welcome back, everybody, to another fantastic episode of the Every Pokemon Episode Ever podcast. I am one of your hosts, Wrestling Chris G, and on the other line with me is my partner on this journey. It's good old Dougie Fresh. Dougie, man, how you doing?
Scraping the bottom of the barrel for nicknames this week.
Well, we the reason I chose that is because we get Ash's partner that's going to be traveling with him introduced in this episode. Doug?
Well, I mean, to be fair, if we're splitting hairs, she was introduced last week. She just wasn't. She wasn't named.
Yeah, she wasn't named, but she's named this week.
She wasn't really addressed. It was like, oh, there's a woman in a tree.
So, all right. Well, everybody, this week's episode is episode 2 of season 14, episode 661. This week's episode is called Enter Iris and Axew, or translated from the Japanese, translated from Japanese, Iris and Kibago? Yeah, Kibago.
Must be Axew in Japanese.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting from that too. So, all right. Well, this episode, just like last week, premiered September 23rd, 2010, and here in the States premiered February 12th, 2011. So, we're actually doing a double whammy. So if you heard any back talk on last week's episode where we went on for about 15 minutes before getting into anything, you're kind of not getting that this week because we literally hit the end button and we're jumping straight into this next episode. So
that's right. I didn't even get a chance to pee.
I know. I mean, we're going back to back in this. Yeah. I was about to say something that probably wouldn't be too PC. Alluding to what we said earlier, or on last week's episode. So on this day, and again, it is February 12th in 1994. So I have it from 1994 and in 2010. But in 1994, we have the 17th Winter Olympics opening in Norway. And then fast forward all the way to 2010, we have the 21st Winter Olympic Games open in Vancouver, Canada. So we're kind of fresh off of the Olympics as we're recording this on August 15th, 2021. So I thought it was kind of nice to kind of tilt my hat to say when we open the Winter Olympics. So Doug, I know yours, it was in 1994 as well. And what do you have for us this week?
Damn, you got no time for no small talk at all.
Well,
what did you think? What do you think about the Olympics? Oh, it doesn't fucking matter. Let's fucking go.
What did you? Well, I know what you thought about the Olympics, but all right, if you want to entertain our audience, what did you think of the 2021 Olympics this year, Doug?
Didn't watch them.
Exactly.
No, I mean it's just kind of weird because they were still considered the 2020 Olympics. Kind of like they just had the Euros in football, and they were the 2020 Euros, even though it was 2021, because apparently, you make all those signs, you're not going to get rid of them. And it's so weird because, the Winter Olympics are right around the corner for 2022. It's so compacted, and
Are they actually going to call the Winter Olympics this year the 2022 Winter Olympics, or are they going to be the 2020 Winter Olympics as well, since we didn't get it last year?
Well, but they're every 4 years.
Well, so is this one, and we still got the 2020 Olympics.
Well, yeah, but they were scheduled for 2022 regardless.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
So yeah, I mean if this past couple of weeks is any indication, they would have still been considered the 2022, even if they had to be pushed. Because I mean, once you get started on the every 4 year stick, and it starts, you're not going to throw that off.
Okay.
So yeah, but yeah, it's just so weird because, like I say, they're right around the corner.
It's a weird time in this world that we are living in.
They might, who knows what it's going to look like in 2022. It's not looking great now. So
we look like we're about to be on the cusp of another shutdown. Like, my son's getting ready to start school in just a few days, but they're already talking that they might be going back remote. So we'll see how that goes.
Well, can you go back remote if you didn't go back to in person to begin with?
Well, speaking from today, my son starts school in 3 days. He is doing remote because that's what we signed him up for. But his school is back in session. But it was basically the parents' choice whether they wanted to send their kid back to school. And we chose not to, only because we see the rise in cases as of right now. Yeah. So, I mean, I don't want to, it's everybody's preference whether they want to send their child back to school. I was in the camp of wanting him to go back to get that social aspect of his life back. But once we found out that he wouldn't really have that at his particular school, how spaced out everything is going to be for lunch, that they got to sit on towels spaced out all around the gym, and they can't interact with anyone during lunchtime, and that basically that they won't be outside on the playground as much, and if they are, they can't be all like, I mean, I get it, like hugging and stuff, but they wouldn't be able to play games like tag or different things that would involve touching another child. I'm like, okay, so what is the point? So we kept him at home for this upcoming year, because I mean, he still has his friends. He has his close circle of friends that come around and they spend the night, or he goes over there, and he still has that, at least.
Tag is overrated anyway. No, it's I mean, the thing that I keep latching on to is, going forward, you can pretty much say goodbye to snow days anymore if you're a kid. I mean, because no school, but you can just hop right on that old laptop there, can't you?
Yeah, exactly. Like, I feel bad for those kids. Like, I grew up in an era where I used to cherish, oh, how much snow did we get? Did we get a lot? Was it a whole lot? No school?
Was it a whole lot?
Score. Yeah, kids these days are kind of fucked when it comes to snow days now. Because, yeah, they now, okay, hop on your computer and we'll continue our lesson. What? No, I'm in my pajamas. I don't want to.
Like, you've been in your pajamas for a year and a half. Ain't matter.
Exactly. So, all right. But yeah, that was mine. Circling it back to the Olympics, how we're getting ready to get the Winter Olympics coming up real soon. But Doug, how about you?
So mine is also from 1994, as my illustrious co-host tried to push me into it. And so once again, on this day in 1994, September, Jesus Christ, February 12th, the painting The Scream by Edvard Munch was stolen from, is stolen in Oslo, Norway. So kind of tying to yours, because I think you said the 1994 Winter Olympics were in Oslo that year as well.
Yes. Now, I do have a question for you, and you might or might not know the answer. Was the painting ever retrieved?
It was. It was returned, or I'm sorry, it was recovered 3 months later, May 7th.
How does someone find something like that unless the guy was stupid enough to try to sell it?
It was not specified.
Okay.
It was not specified, and 'twas not on the day, so I did not do any further digging.
So I'm gonna so we do have a little bit of a talking point, because that kind of brings up something recently that happened in the Pokemon community, Doug.
I'm sure it would.
So in the Pokemon community, I would say this happened about 3 weeks ago. Like I said, again, we're recording this on August 15th of 2021. So about 3, maybe 4 weeks ago, there was a Pokemon card that came out. And the Pokemon card that came out, well, it wasn't even released. So someone that worked for the Pokemon company, wherever they produce all of their cards, stole a ultra rare golden Mew Pokemon card that was supposed to be coming out pretty soon. And like, it was supposed to be the ultra rare in this upcoming series of Pokemon packs that are getting ready to come out. So this guy stole it. And after he stole it, he kept quiet for it and just like posted pictures of it online and stuff. But then after it started gaining attention, people were like, is this thing real? Is it fake? How did he get this? He came out with his actual face and was doing interviews with people about how he's getting ready to sell this Pokemon card. And then he did sell it. He sold it for quite a bit of money. But the Pokemon company now is coming after him for that card and for the proceeds that he was given for that card. And this guy is looking at some jail time now, Doug.
Yeah, because he's an idiot.
Like, why would you go out there and do interviews and stuff? Why would you put your face out there? Like, how dumb do you have to be? I mean, I hate calling people dumb. Don't get me wrong, but that's like,
yeah, don't go calling people names now. You get called out in comments.
For real. But I'm gonna.
You don't want to be. You don't want to be immature now. You don't want to be immature now.
Well, he's gonna be like that. That was just stupid. I'm just gonna throw it out. I mean, I have no other words to say other than that. That was just dumb. That's like walking up to a police officer saying, "I stole this diamond, and I'm the guy that you're looking for, and I'm gonna go and sell this, and there's nothing you can do about it until you file some charges against me. So until then, I'm gonna go and sell it." Like, that's like handling the diamond right above the cop's head going, nana, nana, boo, boo. Like, what the hell was he thinking?
He wasn't.
So, come on, man. Like, just dumb. Like, dumb things in the Pokemon world. And people were going around just like laying the hammer to this kid. And they're like, yeah, how dumb do you got to be to put your face out there? I mean, you got to be pretty fucking dumb. And I'm sorry, dude, if you're one of the people that are listening to our show.
He's gonna comment, I'm the guy and you just lost a click.
You just lost a click. But I mean, I'm sorry, dude, but that was just dumb. And you're not gonna win this case. Pokemon are going after you in full extent of the law because you stole from them. You released a card that is not even released yet, dude. You didn't. Now some dude out there bought this card, and now that all of this is circulating now, Doug, watch Pokemon just be like, okay, this is not going to be a super rare card anymore. We're going to make 1 million of these and just put them in a whole bunch of packs. And this card's not going to be worth anything anymore.
Well, I mean, no, because then Pokemon's kind of out of pocket for the cost of producing the extra cards just to flood the market, and then they take a hit on that. So, I mean, they're kind of extending themselves past the limit at that point.
All right. I mean, I guess, but I mean, I don't think it would really hurt their pockets too much.
I mean, grand scheme, no, but it'd be more of a headache than it's probably worth just to prove a point.
I mean, I guess, but at this point, what do they do for that Pokemon card then? That's out there. I mean, someone did buy it. I mean, yeah, it was a stolen property, but does Pokemon try to go after the guy that bought it and say, okay, we need to buy this back and here's the money that you spent on it?
The beautiful thing is it's not our concern.
True. So, but you ready to get on into this week's episode, Doug?
Yeah, and it's going to be a quick one.
You think so?
I just have a feeling.
by the way that I started the episode?
By the way that you started, by the way that I'm feeling, by the way I'm sure you're feeling.
All right. So we actually start this week's episode with a recap of what happened last week. So if you want to know what happened last week, go ahead and give last week's episode a click if you haven't listened to it yet. Which, why would you be listening to this episode and starting on episode 2 instead of starting on episode 1? So go back and listen to episode 1.
Yeah, especially when episode 1 was right there and you willfully skipped over it.
Exactly.
So what do you do? If you stop, just stop and go back if you haven't. If you have, continue listening. But if you haven't, just stop.
So we now jump forward to the ending of last week's episode with Pikachu having an electric overdrive because Professor Juniper's lab got struck by lightning, and the pieces of electrodes that were on Pikachu ended up shocking it even more. So now Pikachu has an uncontrollable amount of electricity just exiting its body because it can't handle it anymore. And Professor Oak and Professor Juniper are sitting here trying their damnedest to get everything back online. Zekrom has everything offline again. We see Asha Walt hiding behind a wall. And Ash and Pikachu's mom, or Pikachu's mom, Ash and his mom are covering their face from the electric charges, and Professor Juniper is now concerned that her lab is about to explode.
Which I would say is a fair concern because there's a decent amount of equipment there. I mean, that would kind of be a hub.
Yes.
To where, if shit was to go down, it wouldn't be good for anybody.
And then we get an outside look of Zekrom again. What is Zekrom's plan? Zekrom is looking down at the land or at the island of Unova, and then his eyes glow red, and then he just levitates up into the storm, and then Ash is looking at his Pikachu in so much pain.
Yeah.
Ooh, bless you, my man. Bless you, my man. So Ash is looking at his Pikachu because Pikachu looks to have fainted from the pain that it's enduring from all of this electricity. And Ash goes over and grabs Pikachu off of the table. And then we get an excruciating look of Ash Ketchum getting shocked, just like the very first episode of Pokemon from season 1, just getting shocked inside of the office. And Ash can't contain any of the electricity as well. And then out of nowhere, the storm is gone again, and we have a crystal blue sky again.
And
all the power's back.
And all the instruments come back online, and Oshawott comes over and is concerned about Ash. Ash addresses Oshawott like that's a complete normal thing to do. Nobody seems to notice that there's a random Oshawott walking around. Nobody's concerned. It's almost like the Oshawott's not there. Pikachu jumps up, and it seems to be fine. Ash tells it to shock him, and it does, and it's fine. And then he tells the Pikachu to hit him with a Volt Tackle, which he does, and knocks Ash into the wall. Everybody's laughing. Everybody's having a good time. Ash's mom is at least a little concerned, which is fun, but it's not normal.
Ash is not a normal kid.
He is not a normal kid. And we knew this ever since he threw a rock at a Spearow.
Pikachu, Volt Tackle me. Just electrocute the mess out of me. And it's funny, but Ash looks down at Pikachu after slamming into the wall, and he's like, you really are all right. So Pikachu got all of his electricity back. And Ash just faints over onto the ground as all the electricity is leaving his body because his body is just fried at the moment.
And we come outside, and it looks to be about dusk, and we're kind of establishing what might be to come in this episode, and then we get the opening song.
Yeah, well, it's not even just that, but we finally get well, I guess Ash hasn't officially said it, but we're alluding to that Ash is wanting to stay in Unova. So he's looking over at Pikachu, and he's like, there's a lot of things out here we haven't seen anymore. And he's like, don't you agree, Pikachu? And Pikachu's like, Pika. And then we go straight into the theme song. And then we get some new animation for the title card. The Pokedex is flying into the screen. It pops open, and it says, enter Iris and Axew.
Could they use the Pokedex because it's been introduced?
Yes.
And they could just say, "Oh, we can use that now."
That's what I think.
That's what I would go with.
But we come back inside, and they're all everyone's eating dinner. Professor Oak and Ash's mom are next to each other. Professor Juniper is eating dinner, and so is Ash and Pikachu. And Ash just looks up out of nowhere and just brings on his mom and Professor Oak. You know what? I think I'm going to stay out here in Unova and learn a little bit more about the Pokemon that are out here. And it catches his mom and Professor Oak off guard because they were mid-bite. Just, huh?
Yeah, they're okay, and they're stunned. But I don't understand. I mean, I guess, okay, they would be, especially, that's his mom, but like,
Well, his mom straight up says, she's like, I saw it in your eye as soon as we landed here. I saw the fire. I knew you were going to want to stay out here.
Never mind the fact that he's a Pokemon trainer at heart.
Yeah.
So it's not like, what is this? You want to be a what? It's like he's a Pokemon trainer. You put it. It's like being surprised that a fisherman likes to fish.
Exactly. So it's at this point because we just a scene ago when Professor Oak and Professor Juniper were kind of having a heart-to-heart moment while looking out at the dusk sun. Professor Oak said that this island needs some extra research, and that he's looking at getting some extra research from this island as well, from reports from Professor, I keep wanting to say doctor, but from Professor Juniper.
She might be a doctor. I'll say it again.
She might be. But he springs it on Ash that he can stay out here and get some more research for Professor Oak. And Ash is perfectly fine with that because he's like, I'm going to go and meet all these new Pokemon and meet all these new people and make some new friends. And I'm perfectly fine with that. And that's when we find out that the Unova region has its own badges as well.
Well, and I mean, to be fair, that was kind of hinted at during last week's episode when Trip kind of said that going after badges was kind of, how did he said kind of douchey, like old hat. It was like, going after badges wasn't the cool thing to do or something.
Yeah.
Which is like, okay, if you're not going after badges, what the hell are you doing?
Exactly. But it's at this point where Professor Juniper, she looked like she was just ready. She hands over one of the new Pokedexes that Ash is going to need and gives them 5 Pokeballs to use in the Unova region.
Shouldn't he have gotten 6?
No.
Or does Pikachu? Do we get 5 because Ash doesn't, or Ash because Pikachu doesn't count?
Well, Pikachu does count. So Pikachu would be the 6th Pokemon. Because remember, Professor Juniper told Trip last week that he can only carry up to 6 Pokemon at a time.
Oh, fair point. Stupid point, but fair point.
Yeah. But we find out from Professor Juniper, who's about to send Ash out on his journey, that the first Pokemon gym that's closest to the town that they're in is in Stryton City. And she also hints at that Ash better get going because Trip is already left and he's already on his way down there.
And Ash seems surprised at this, and he knows that Trip had left because he presumably left when Ash ran back to the lab after the battle.
Exactly.
He's like, what do you mean Trip left? It's like he didn't have to run back to his Pokemon. He only has one Pokemon he has to worry about. He's fine.
Yeah, but Ash seems ready. I mean, and I could be on this side with Ash. Like, I kind of want Ash to go over there and just whoop on Trip in his Pokemon with his Pikachu now. And I'm kind of waiting for that to happen. But Ash says, he's like, next time we battle, I'm going to be ready for him. And he does his little fist thing that he normally does, which is like the Ash Ketchum official I'm ready pose.
I would be very careful referring to that maneuver as a fist thing going forward. Just
Really?
It's a kid's show.
It is a kid's show. So all right, but we go we go to the next morning. Well, I wouldn't even say the next morning. We're ready for Ash to start leaving on his journey, and Ash's mom is like, is your bag packed? Do you have underwear? Do you have a shirt? The normal things that she likes to say.
Good for her. She's still concerned about his underwear. Good for her. I mean, that, She's got one thing, but damn if she's not keeping attached to it.
I know. And
Mom, I haven't worn underwear in 5 years.
And Ash is basically just like, he's like, damn, Mom. He's like, don't worry. I've been to different regions already. I've been to 12 million places, and I'm still a 10-year-old. I'm still good. I'm fine.
I've had the same pair of underwear for 15 years.
And he says a key line in this. He's like, I'm not a little kid anymore. Which is funny because that we get told straight up later on that he's still a little kid. I mean, right. we got introduced to that in episode 1 of season 14. 10-year-old Ash, the narrator made sure to say.
So Juniper says, there's a Pokemon Center at the what'd you say? The other end of the forest.
Yeah, on the other end of the island.
At the other end of the island forest. Yeah. And then, freaking Ash takes off running, because he doesn't have a bike to steal. And he's not even out of sight yet. And his mom goes, I wonder how different he's going to look when I see him again. And then that's, you alluded to earlier, this is when Oak says, don't forget to call once in a while.
Yeah. So
and now he's got no excuse.
I know he has no excuse now because he was told, and he has a phone now.
And he has a phone now. Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
He doesn't even have to pay data. This lucky SOB.
But he's not on 5G yet.
No, not yet. He's still on that 2G, 2010.
Yeah, that's true.
Because we haven't gotten into 3G yet. It hasn't been introduced.
It could be. I mean,
not until 2012, and then 2014 we got 4G, and then it took a long. Well, actually, no. We were on 3G for a while.
Yeah, we were.
Yeah, we were. All right, I'm not even going to look up the history. Maybe some fool out there is yelling at us right now, like, "No, we got 3G on this."
We just lost a click because you called him a fool.
Don't be so sensitive.
And the people that you yelled at last week still haven't recovered. Their eardrums still haven't recovered.
Woohoo!
So as the three adults are watching Ash run off in the distance, we see that Oshawott is still hiding behind the building, and nobody seems to care.
No, not
nobody
at all.
Nobody seems to give a flip one way or the other.
And then we see Ash running in the forest. He's so excited. He's like, maybe I'll see a bug type Pokemon or a flying type Pokemon. And him and Pikachu are just so stoic and just happy. And all of a sudden we hear some scrambling in some bushes. And then we see the girl's hair that we saw from last week ducked down in the bushes, and Ash thinks it's a Pokemon. We haven't even said that in episode 1, Axew, who is this girl's Pokemon, hides in her hair. That's how much hair. That is how much hair this girl has.
Right.
So Ash points the Pokédex at the bushes, and of course, since Axew's not inside of its Pokeball, the Pokédex picks up Axew from the bush, and Ash is so confused because he's like, "That's not what I'm looking at."
It's like, look, I might be an idiot, but that's not an Axew.
Just the face that he had.
Yeah, I'm on a perfect freeze frame of the face. I'm at 5:38. He's just like, really? He's like, I'm an idiot, but that's not an Axew.
He's like, but you know what? I'm gonna catch it anyway. And he just goes and he does his fist pump and he throws the Pokeball and just beams.
Beams are right in the middle. This poor girl is freaking out.
You're telling me all that hair and that Pokeball still hurts the top of her head when it bounced off?
There's no way with all that hair. And then the girl, and I gotta be upfront. I can contribute, but you're gonna have to do the bulk of this because if I try to turn on the audio, it completely drowns you out.
Okay,
I can follow along and I can contribute because I just recently watched the episode, but it's not going to be because there's no volume control on this Daily Motion link.
Oh,
it's either on or muted.
I got you, my brother. All right, so this girl,
we still don't know her name.
We still don't know her name, but since the episode's called Iris. Enter Iris and Axew. We can allude that this girl's name.
Oh, I didn't even put that together.
Is named Iris.
I didn't even. I was today years old.
So, but she hasn't been formally introduced yet. But Iris jumps up. And she's like, "What the hell was that for?" She's like, and Ash just takes a step back, and he's like, "I thought you were a Pokemon." And then she takes offense to that, and she just like slides into the frame, and she's like, "So you thought that I look like a Pokemon?"
She's like, "Does this cuteness look like a Pokemon?" Well. Meowth talks, Could be a talking big ass Pokemon.
I know. I mean, we've seen Meowth for 14 seasons. By gosh, I mean a Pokemon can do anything. But she's like, yeah, just like you said. Does this cute face look like a Pokemon? And then she gets all mean, and she's like, well, does it? And Ash has the lines for eyes. And he's like, I'm sorry about this. And she just flips like the flip of a coin. Like, I hope this is how her character is because it's hilarious. And she's like, I accept your apology. My name is Iris, and this is my Pokemon Axew.
And Axew pops out of her hair and takes a bite of the apple and
then Iris sees Pikachu, and this is when we find out how rare Pikachu is.
She's like, I've never seen a Pikachu, and Pikachu's, he's okay with being picked up, and then she starts kind of playing with his cheeks, and you can tell she's kind of squeezing maybe a little too tight. And you can tell he's starting to kind of squirm. He's like, something's about to go down right now. If something doesn't happen, something's about to go down. And
Pikachu was turning blue.
Poor Iris is just so oblivious. And Pikachu's like, all right, something's got to go down. She just shocks her rather. And Iris goes smoldering to the ground. And Ash should be like, well, how does it feel? Because I'm usually on. Or he's like, I should know how that feels. I'm usually on that end of it.
And then we go to like once she drops to the ground, we go to a scene where Pikachu is just sitting on the grass, arms crossed, just all sorts of pissed off. Like, you shouldn't have been grabbing me like that.
And we get a little kind of a introduction, you would say, with Iris, kind of.
A little bit. Well, they're on the ground, and they're talking, and they get into the conversation of the Zekrom.
Storm. Yeah, and she's like, "Oh, you were caught in that," because she saw it from the outskirts.
Yes. And she's now enticed in Ash's story, and Ash doesn't really have much to really tell her. I mean, all he says is, it had a lot of lightning. I saw a Pokemon figure, but I couldn't really make out really what it was. And then Pikachu gets enamored by a deerling, a pink deerling that's pouncing in the back of the forest, and Ash And Ash is like, "Oh, that's the Pokemon from yesterday. I'm gonna catch it."
So we take off running. So we have 4 individuals running after one deerling. How the hell does that look?
It doesn't look good at all, but we'll find out what happens in just a second. And now, Doug, I will be quiet for this next part, but we go to Team Rocket in their new black and red getup, talking to Giovanni, and you can kind of say what's about to happen in this scene.
So they're in a cave, like full on in a cave, and Giovanni's saying that you appear to have arrived safely, and James is like, we've succeeded and successfully. That's probably not right. We've successfully infiltrated the Unova region, and
I can help you out. He says that they finally landed in the Unova region, and from here that they are going to need their Pokemon to be able to do any type of damage here in the Unova region.
But that's when Giovanni's like, "Oh, no. You can't use your Pokemon because those are out of region. And if you're using Arbok and Weezing, although he doesn't name check them specifically, he says you're going to arouse suspicion in yourselves. So you are going to have to capture Unova region specific Pokemon if you want to have a leg up in, capturing or stealing Pokemon in general, but also going after that Pikachu you've been going after for 20 years.
Yes. And that's something I wanted to have a small, maybe 1 minute conversation with you about.
All right, 1 minute on the clock, go.
So it seems like when Team Rocket at the end of season 13, whatever happened at the end of that season, that when they got back into town to be around Giovanni, they relinquished their Pokemon. Who was most likely Caravine. They had Viper. They had Smoochum, who was James' Pokemon, and it looks like they relinquished their Pokemon over to Giovanni, who has their Pokemon, because Team Rocket was asking Giovanni for their Pokemon. So, but why would you give up your Pokemon over to Giovanni when those were yours?
Well, why would you give up your Pokemon in general? I mean, I've had this discussion till I'm blue in the face about Ash, and I'm sick of it. So I'm not going to get into it because the whole thing is pointless. You can say, oh, he had to give up Butterfree because it was a mating thing. Or, oh, he had to give up freaking Primate because he wasn't going to be able to train it as a fighter. Or, oh, he had to give up Charizard because it was bullshit. Pure and simple bullshit. And, he transferred Krabby even though he had an open spot. He transferred Muck even though he had an open spot. He had a herd of Tauros he could have kept one of. Fuck him.
Well, in the whole Tauros thing, I mean, that was all caught in the Safari Zone. So those had to be transferred over.
Well, no.
No.
Just because you catch it in the Safari Zone doesn't mean you don't get to keep it.
Well, he does end up using his Tauros a little bit later on, but you'll see when he uses it in the Pokemon League. So, all right, but yeah, as Team Rocket is finishing up, we get a glimpse of Giovanni. Giovanni looks like he's younger in this drawing, in this season, than he has been in any of the other seasons. He has a more slick look to him and a younger look.
Got that good Botox.
Yeah. So he's now talking to his secretary again.
There you go again with the secretary stuff, man. I'm telling you.
Until she's called something else, that's his secretary. That's what we're gonna refer to this girl inside of his office.
So what you're gonna refer to it, man. I'm staying clear away from that, just in case it comes back that she's like his second in command or something, and you're just sitting there calling her his secretary and shit.
So he's talking to her, and apparently Team Rocket has a whole organization out in the Unova region that they are trying to take over. Well, not well. I guess they have a whole. There's a whole organization out there that's looking for these secret Pokemon, these legendary Pokemon that they're trying to overcome, and that they're in hopes that Team Rocket, while they're out there, will be able to infiltrate it and to get a few more rare Pokemon to bring back from this Unova region back over to him to take over the world.
So we then go back into the cave, and Team Rocket's kind of looking over their supplies, and Jessie's got a Pokeball, and she's like, well, so the boss said we're going to have to catch our own Pokemon. And she's like, well, how hard is that? And at that, a freaking
flock of Wombat.
Would you say flock? Would you say swarm? What would you say?
I would say a flock. It's a flock of Wombat.
Come screaming at him, and then we cut away to a stream where the deerling is drinking peacefully, and then we pan out and we see that it's not just the deerling that everybody was chasing. There's a whole herd of them.
Yes.
And we get our arbitrary Pokédex sighting, and we get the description of what a deerling is.
Yes. And Deerling looks different. I'll give my own little synopsis. So, depending on the season of the year that you're in the Unova region, Deerling looks different. So, actually, I can tell you the different types of Deerling. Give me real quick because I'm actually ready for this. So, we have a green Deerling. We have the pink Deerling. That's on here. We have an orange deerling and we have a brown deerling. So depending on the season and year that you're in, depends on what color your deerling is. And when it evolves, which we can get into a little bit later on in the season, evolves into a different type of deerling. So
deerling would piss me off if I was playing the game. Is what you're telling me, because I'd have to capture 4 of the sons of bitches at different times of the year.
Yes.
Yeah, fuck them.
Because you're a completionist.
Yeah. So I'm sitting there immediately going, "Oh, mother."
It's like Eevee, but
yeah.
But you'd get mad now. Eevee has 8 different forms now.
Yeah, I think we went over this when we covered that episode. I don't remember if it made the podcast, but we definitely went over them.
Yes. Do you want me to go down all?
No, we don't have to because we already did
it. So all right.
Unless there's different ones in the couple of months since we've done that episode.
No. It's we're still on 8, and I myself have a couple Sylveon, which is one of my favorite forms of the Eevee evolutions. So all right.
We're in the bush with Iris and Ash is like, I'm gonna catch me a deerling. And he flicks the Pokeball up and he chucks it, and Deerling says no. Just swings his head, just no.
Yes. But you missed the Pat Rat.
I missed no Pat Rat.
Oh, that came after.
That's after. Because freaking Iris calls him out because she's like, you dummy, you have to battle him.
And Ash is like, yeah, I guess I can't get a Pokemon without battling. So he walks out of the bush, and Pat Rat, a herd of Pat Rat, just starts racing from some bush out there and just makes Ash all sorts of dizzy by spinning him around. And Ash just falls on the ground, and this is the first time that we get from Iris that Ash is just a kid. And then we get the who's that Pokemon, and it's Oshawott.
Which, fine. You could have made a case that maybe Oshawott could have been the who's that Pokemon for last week, but here we are. I'll accept that. I will accept. I mean, tough shit if I don't want to. It happened. It's there, so it's whatever. But fine. We get a cute little Oshawott, and then we're back, and we're back at dusk, and Pikachu and Ash are picking apples, and they're completely avalanched by apples, and.
Yeah. Because Iris was up in the tree and she did something up there to just relinquish 100 apples to just topple on top of Ash.
And then she's looking around. She's like, "Where did he go?" And he's fucking
buried.
He's buried under apples. And then
but then we go to Ash, Axew, and well, actually, we see Axew eating an apple, and then we find out everybody is eating apples. They cleaned up the apples from around this tree, and now they're Ash and Pikachu are on the ground, and it seems like Iris and Axew don't like being on the ground. That's what I'm gathering from her character so far. Oh, hey, and she's up in the tree. So I'm guessing she's a wilderness type gal.
You're stopping completely short of calling her a hippie, aren't you?
No, I'm not calling her a hippie. That didn't even cross my mind. But she's like a jungle gal. I mean, she doesn't like being on the ground. I mean,
she's a jungle gal.
Yeah. She from episode 1, where did we see her? She was up in a tree, and then she dropped down off of a cliff, and then caught a vine that was attached to a tree and swung on it like Tarzan. So
like Tarzan.
So yeah, she's a jungle gal.
So let me backtrack. I think I went a little far.
No, you're good. This is where they start talking about Zekrom again, and she's talking to Ash about how Zekrom kind of ruined Ash's first day in the Unova region with its lightning, and Ash is still confused. He just wants answers. So he wants to find out what Zekrom was doing there and why it caused all the havoc that it did with all of its lightning. And he's alluding to that the professor thinks that Zekrom was up to something, but they don't know yet. So they asked him to basically try to find out if he could.
And, all this talk gets Iris and Axew excited about Zekrom, and they're standing up on the tree. We're going to meet Zekrom, and freaking Ash is basically cutting a promo to his apple, and he said, Unova has a whole bunch of different Pokemon, and I'm going to meet them all, and it's going to be a good adventure because I'm 10 and I know no better, and looks up and sees Iris and Axew completely asleep.
Yes. And then Ash looks up at the sky, sees a bunch of stars. It's a nice little setting to kind of end this scene, because they see a shooting star go by, and Ash is like, "That's good luck. That means we're gonna have a great time over here in the Unova region. That's our good luck charm right there." And Pikachu, he looks over at Pikachu and he's like, "Pikachu, do you think that we're gonna be lucky too?" And Pikachu's like, "Pika."
And are you ever gonna be nope?
And then from here, we see Oshawott is in the bushes, basically following Ash. So still infatuated with Ash from episode 1, just looking at him from a distance at the bond that Pikachu and Ash have. And then we go to morning time, And Ash and Pikachu are now continuing their adventure alone. And then they find out that Iris is following them.
Well, yeah, because they think that she just left. And they're like, oh, well, she left. She was nice. We're just going to keep moving. And, nobody's, pardon me, nobody's thinking any the wiser. They're just walking. Well, if we see her again, we see her again.
And then we see a Pidove.
We see a what?
A Pidove.
Oh, yeah, of course. And then Ash is like, oh, it's another Pokemon. He's still in that phase of, because obviously somebody that's been in the region would go, oh, that's a Pidove. That's just, whatever.
Yeah.
But Ash is like, oh, I need a Pokemon, because why does he only have Pikachu? Why couldn't he carry, are his other Pokemon region locked? I mean, for goodness sakes.
No, they're not region locked, but I told you before. So whenever he leaves with to go to a new region, Pikachu's the only one that he brings. So he, at the end of every season, he drops off his Pokemon with Professor Oak.
That's poor training. That's poor training.
And he just wants to start off fresh. So Ash is walking through this forest following the Pidove, and then he sees a herd of Pidove, just all over this little, I'm going to call it a picnic area.
It's a flock
of Pidove. And
I didn't even finish that. You're like, motherfucker, it's a flock.
So Ash looks at a random Pidove and he's like, let's battle that one. And Pidove turns around and Ash is a dick. I mean, instead of like a thunder shock, he tells Pikachu to use a damn thunderbolt on this maybe level 2 Pidove and just fucking fries the mess. And all the Pidove just look over and they're like, what the hell just happened? And Ash throws a Pokeball, or he's getting ready to throw a Pokeball, and all the rest of the Pidove are like, yo, you just fried our friend. We're about to mess you up now. And they just attack the mess out of him with wing attack, and it looks like some of them are like using spear and just tackle, and then the Pidove that Ash just fried finally comes to and just flies away.
He's like, oh, this is my chance. I'm a dip, and he apparently is leading the flock. Because he's the first one to take off, and
so that's why they were all mad at him, because it was their leader.
And Ash is like, well, God damn it, I'm going to catch one of these things at some point. And he looks over, and there's one stray Pidove that apparently didn't get the memo that we were leaving, and
he got the dumb one of the ball. But okay. Really, and again, Ash is a dick 101, because this Pidove, I'm gonna call it a level 2 Pidove. Like this Pidove, like you said, did not get the message, didn't get anything, is totally oblivious to the world, and tells Pikachu, use quick attack. So in the video game, this is what would have really happened. So I have a level 60 Pikachu, okay? Right. And you're battling a level 2 Pidove. In the video game, my quick attack hits this Pidove, and the energy on it goes completely down. Immediately, it faints, and you do not get a chance to catch this thing at all.
And you get like 3 XP.
Yes. No, Ash quick attack this Pidove. Like freaking, this Pidove looked a little strong, just like put its wings out and everything. And Pidove is ready to freaking attack again. And then Ash is like, all right, Iron Tail, and just whack. And Pidove just gets whacked again, not even giving Pidove a chance to attack again. And then he throws his Pokeball out there and catches this sumbitch.
Well, he attempts to, and I have issue with this because he throws the Pokeball, right?
Yes.
The Pidove goes into the Pokeball, it shakes once, It shakes twice. It shakes 3 times. It breaks out.
And then it breaks out.
And I call bullshit because isn't 3 shakes a catch?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
But we find out, like, when me and you get further in the Pokemon episodes that we were doing prior, that's not a thing. The Pokeball can shake about 8 times and still break out.
Oh, that's horseshit.
I know.
That's horseshit.
So, and then Pidove comes out, and
he's pissed.
This Pidove is pissed. So this Pidove is easily over level 2. Okay, I'm mistaken.
Yeah, you underestimated this Pidove.
Because this Pidove is using air cutter, it's using spear, it's trying to tackle freaking Pikachu. No, it doesn't. It goes in and tries to. Pikachu dodges it, and Pidove runs into a tree.
Wow, and then it gets thunder shocked for its trouble.
Thunderbolt.
Well, god damn it.
Well, I'm saying that because Ash is a dick and he gets pissed off and he doesn't want to use Thunder Shock because Thunder Shock is an amateur Pokemon.
Well, you're also getting back at me for correcting your herd of Pidove comment. You're just not admitting it because you're a nice guy. So this Pidove is completely out. I mean, it's got the swirls for eyes. It's out.
Yes.
And so Ash throws the Pokeball again. It goes in.
And as you can see, it shakes like 5 or 6 times, and then it's caught.
That's true. It does, yeah. And then, we get the bling, and, Ash and Pikachu are celebrating like they goddamn just caught the freaking...
like they caught a Charizard.
Well, no, what's the Pokemon that was at the beginning, the legendary?
Zekrom.
Like they just caught the Zekrom that was in the beginning of the episode. And, they're jumping around and twirling, and that's when this is when we meet up with Iris again.
And she calls Ash a kid because she was watching the battle from afar, and she's like, "Oh, you finally caught a Pidove." She's like, "Oh, your first Pokemon here. What a kid!" Like, how old is Iris? I want to find out how old Iris is. Maybe I'll know by the next episode.
Right.
But and then this Axew comes out of her hair again and just starts laughing at Ash for catching a Pidove.
And, Axew is at least civil and, splits the apple with Pikachu. But then as Pikachu and Axew are gallivanting off, sharing their apple, they're grabbed by...
Team Rocket.
Yes, of course, because it's 15 minutes into the episode, and we realize we've only got 5 minutes left, and we haven't seen Team Rocket but once. And
this outfit really makes Jessie look a lot better than she did in other previous episodes. I'm just gonna say that, like, black is her color.
Why are you saying that?
Just the way that she looks, and I mean, the animation on her is really good. I mean, it looks good on James too. Like, I just like the animation. I mean, we're watching 1998 Pokemon right now, and then jumping forward to 2010. Like, this animation is just fantastic. Like, even I'm on a screenshot of Meowth right now, and Meowth is just like, he's on point.
And I am on a pardon me, I'm on a direct rip from the episode. Like, I have like network bugs in the corner and everything. So they do their theme song, and apparently they go to commercial because I got a quick fade to black, and the Y7 came back up. So this is obviously the last commercial of the episode at 15:52.
And then we are looking over at Pikachu and Axew. They are completely grabbed by this like hand grabbing device that Team Rocket has foolishly purchased. And James is looking up, making fun of them, saying that that squirming's not going to do them any good. And then freaking Ash and Iris are looking out, and Ash is now having flashbacks to like, damn, I should have came to this island with more than just Pikachu. Now who am I going to use to attack Team Rocket?
And he's like, oh yeah, I just caught this Pidove that took me way too long to catch.
Exactly. But let's not gloss over the fact that Iris is so infatuated by Meowth, and we get the whole talking Meowth bit out of the way. And she's like, oh my gosh, this Meowth can talk.
What is Meowth? Because Meowth has an answer, because she's like, you can talk? And he's like, does he call himself a genius?
Yeah, well, he said a Meowth that can only talk is a once-in-a-lifetime Pokemon.
That's it.
And
so, he's not, avoiding it like he was when he was trying to be Timmy's Pokemon, which is still somewhat fresh in the old memory banks, so that's why that reference is being dropped.
Yes. And then Team Rocket drops Pikachu and Axew into this glass box, which
apparently is shatterproof.
Yes. And then Ash throws out Pidove, and somehow Pidove has recovered from from being fainted inside of this Pokeball.
Yes, well, once you once you become caught and you become domesticated, you automatically heal, don't you know?
Apparently. So we haven't forgotten. So Team Rocket still does not have any region Pokemon, so
that we know of
so far. So it's at this point that James is stunned. He's like, oh, he's using a regional Pokemon already. He already has a regional Pokemon, and Meowth, being a Pokemon, goes in with its claws to go in and scratch it.
But then gets completely wrecked by
Gust,
and doesn't get knocked down, just gets knocked back. And Jessie's like, "Well, I'll handle this," and she throws out a Pokeball, and she's got what you call it, a Woobat.
Yes.
So we can infer that when that flock of Woobat came out of them from the cave, she had the presence of mind to catch one of them.
Yes.
And the Woobat completely has Pidove for lunch, basically.
Yes, because let's not gloss over the point that James didn't even know that she caught this Woobat, because he looked off and he's like, oh.
So he must have been cowering behind a rock or something, because he was like, oh, I don't like that.
So this Woobat, for the first time, probably. For the first and only time until Ash gets some more Pokemon, completely obliterates Pidove.
Oh, yeah. Not even close.
And Jessie then returns Woobat back over to its Pokeball. And it's at this time that James has a little tiny box. And inside of this little tiny box, he opens it, and out comes the brand new Team Rocket air balloon.
And the air balloon floats up, and underneath it we see the box that Axew and Pikachu are in. And Iris immediately goes up a tree, and Ash follows her and does a Michael Jordan leap, and is about 2 fingertips away from the box.
And falls.
And should have a broken back.
Yes, he hit every branch on the way down and lands on his back.
He should be in traction. But then
you're wondering how are they going to get the Pokemon back, Doug?
Well, they don't, because out of the shadows comes Oshawott.
Yes.
And it's got the little shell that is on its stomach in its hand, and he throws it and
does a boomerang effect on the Team Rocket balloon and pops it.
Completely pops it. The balloon comes plummeting down to Earth. The box, of course, with it. The box hits the ground and shatters. Pikachu and Axew go in opposite directions. And Ash and Iris make diving catches to make sure that Pikachu and Axew don't hurt themselves further. And I'm going to sneeze. No, I'm not. And then
Jesse sends out Wombat to fight Pikachu and Axew again, and it uses Airstrike and completely catches Pikachu and Axew off guard. And then she tells it to do it again, and it gets ready to. And then Oshawott comes out, and what is this attack? It looks like it's water gun. I'm gonna say water gun because it's not described what that move is, but Oshawott does like a water gun attack and completely obliterates Team Rocket with the Wombat. James throws some type of smoke bomb down to disappear from where they are.
Just in time, because Pikachu's about to hit them all with a Volt Tackle.
Yes. And then Pikachu faints from being overexerted. And this is when Iris says that they need to go to the Pokemon Center. So Team Rocket is now vanished, and they did not blast off.
And we see Oshawott go, well, what the anybody gonna, I mean, I helped, and nothing.
Nothing at all.
And then we're briefly at a Pokemon Center, and we see that Oshawott, Pidove, and Pikachu are okay. Could you imagine if I forgot Pikachu?
I know.
They're okay, and we see that we're still dealing with Nurse Joy.
Nurse Joy looks different.
I was going to say just a radically different and potentially younger Nurse Joy.
Yes. And she has a pink it's a pink cross on her hat.
I didn't even track that because I didn't have a reason to yet. But yeah.
So people that are keeping track on the Unova region, we have a pink hat, Nurse Joy. So, and that's basically the end of the episode after the Pokemon are healed, because we go straight from that to the narrator saying that they have that Ash and Pikachu have a new friend in Pidove, and it looks like the
last shot of the episode is Oshawott looking outside in.
Yes. But just like in the Who's That Pokemon, Oshawott's going to be the focus on next week's episode.
Which means the Who's That Pokemon for next week is probably going to be Axew or something.
Probably. So, but yeah, after the narrator goes over its little ending narration, he gets interrupted by Iris, and Iris thanks Ash for helping her out with Axew and saving Axew at this time, and Axew is thanking them as well. And Ash is like, "Don't thank me, thank Oshawott." And he's like, "Well, where is Oshawott?"
So we are aware that Oshawott does exist.
Yes.
We just don't give a shit.
Yep.
Right.
But Oshawott is looking in from the outside of the Pokemon Center, and we get the To Be Continued logo, and that is this week's episode. So I liked this episode a lot better than last week's episode, Doug.
Yeah.
A lot more progression.
I mean, we definitely had our footing. We've caught a Pokemon. We're under the impression that Oshawott is going to be a somewhat of a factor, whether it's like a guardian angel type thing or something.
Yes. So we will find out what Oshawott has in store next week, and that's a little wink wink. as to what's going on here, because we're in the beginning stages of the beginning 3 Pokemon. Ooh, excuse you.
For what? I didn't do nothing.
Because next week focuses on Oshawott, and then the week after that we focus on Tepig. So these are.
I have a question as we are in the wrap up stages of this episode.
What's up?
That I should have asked last week, but didn't. If you were picking and you had the choice of those 3 that Trip was presented with, which you taking?
I always go fire.
Fire.
I always go fire. So mine would have been a Tepig.
I'm probably in the same boat. I went Charmander. I went Torchic.
Cyndaquil.
I don't know if I went Cyndaquil. I might have gone Totodile.
Oh, okay.
I might have gone saying that out loud. I think I did, actually.
It's a water version of a Charizard without the wings. Big old alligator.
Yeah, really. Honestly, it was.
So, okay.
But yeah, I definitely went Charizard or Charmander and Torchic for sure. I mean, I eventually got them all because you do the egg trick, but
yeah. So I love it too. but yeah. So before I get to my Pokemon pack opening, Doug, what do you give? So you gave last week between a 2.5 and a 3. What do you give this week's episode on your Duggometer?
3.5.
3.5. All right. I'm gonna be in the same boat. I really enjoyed this episode. Since last week, I rated it about a 3.5. I am gonna probably go up to about a 4. There was a lot of progression in this, a lot of battling. We got to see a lot of action. It had a lot of everything. That's going to be a key factor going forward. I feel, because I haven't watched Black and White yet, but I know it's going to have a key factor in in the future of if I can even talk, in the future of Black and White. So, but you know what time it is, Doug? You hear that?
It is 11:41 in the PM.
Oh, poo. But yes, it is. But it's also pack opening time. And I have another Sword and Shield Battle Styles card. So let's go ahead and get this opened up here. And I'm going to do my question to you, Doug, as to what energy card am I holding in my hand this week?
Theme of the episode: water.
Oh, you're 2 and 2. I do have a water.
Fixed. It's not. This is predetermined. It's fixed.
So something I didn't do last week. If you want to see these Pokemon cards from the openings that I'm doing, they will be on Instagram, and you can search us at every Pokemon episode, and you can still follow us on Twitter at PokeBreakdown. And if you want to listen to next week's episode already because you loved episode 2, subscribe to our Patreon. You'll get an episode a week in advance on us, and that's a thank you for us. But here's the Pokemon,
because we haven't recorded it yet.
I know, right? So here we go. So we got the water energy. I have an energy recycle. I have an Electabuzz, a Crawdaunt, a Corphish, an Electrive, a Sizzlipede. That's what I'm going to call it. A Centricorp. I can't even pronounce that. Centicorch. And then I have a basic Cricketune V card. And then I have a reverse hollow Octillery. So, all right. You know what? Octillery is a lot better than what I got last week. So
Well, damn.
I will take this first hollow over last week. So this week was definitely a lot better than what I got last week.
Well, damn.
Well, I mean, I got a non-holographic Corviknight V last week, and this week I actually got a reverse hollow Pokemon card. I mean, it's not the greatest. I mean, I'm sure this card is only worth like $2 or $3, but to get a reverse hollow Octillery is still a better pull than what I got last week. So, all right, everybody. So that is this week's episode. Those are my 2 Pokemon packs opened. Again, if you want to see these cards up close in person on the interweb, you can search them on Instagram at every Pokemon episode. So, all right. Other than that, that's this week's episode. Next week's episode is a Sandile Gusher of Change. That is what it's called. So do you have anything else to add for this week, Doug?
No, I'm excited to see how things shake out. These were a solid first 2 episodes, and I think we're off to a good pace.
All right. Well, other than that, then say goodbye, Doug.
Goodbye, Doug.
And this is Wrestling Chris G telling all of you I will see you next week, and thank you for listening, everybody. And don't miss this upcoming Friday's drop, because we have a new episode dropping this upcoming Friday. Have a good night, everybody.